Hello everyone, this is Elizabeth Davis and you're watching the Elizabeth Davis channel. Before we begin, I need you to take action right now. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, leave a comment with your thoughts on California's energy crisis. Share this video with everyone who needs to see what's happening. And let me make this crystal clear, this is the only official channel. Many people are copying my content, my face, my style, but this is the original source. Now let's talk about what's happening in California this week. Phillips 66 is shutting down its Los Angeles refinery, and California is about to lose 139,000 barrels per day of gasoline production. The Wilmington facility will idle units in phases through December. The entire operation will be permanently offline by year end. According to sources who spoke with Reuters, that's 8.3% of California's total refining capacity disappearing in the next few weeks. 600 employees and 300 contractors are losing their jobs by December 31st. Phillips 66 says only a handful will be reassigned to the company's marine terminal operations. That's 900 families affected right before the new year. The company announced this back in October, citing market dynamics as the reason for closure. But knowing it was coming doesn't make the impact any less severe. California is now scrambling to replace 1.3 billion gallons of gasoline annually that this refinery produced. The state currently imports about 1.1 billion gallons per year, which represents 8% of its total supply. With the Phillips 66 closure, that import dependency jumps to 17%, according to Skip York, chief energy strategist for Turner Mason and Company. Here's what Californians need to understand about where their gas will now come from. Vessel tracking data from KPLR shows California hit a 4-year high in May 2025, importing 279,000 barrels per day. 70% of those imports came from South Korea and other Asian exporters. We're talking about 187,000 barrels per day just from Asia. The remaining imports are coming from some unexpected places. India sent 39,000 barrels per day of gasoline and alkylate in May, the highest level since January 2024. California even started importing from the Bahamas, which shipping experts say is typically too expensive to make economic sense. One gasoline trader explained that sailing a tanker from Texas to California via the Bahamas usually doesn't work financially, but the refinery outages opened up the arbitrage to the West Coast from everywhere. A gasoline tanker voyage from Singapore to California takes 30 to 40 days, according to York. That means the gasoline you pump in February was loaded onto a ship in December. Any disruption, such as a typhoon, shipping delays, or port congestion adds weeks to that timeline. Compare that to pipelines which deliver continuously, or rail shipments which take days, not weeks. California has 0 pipelines connecting it to other refining regions. None from Texas, none from the Gulf Coast, nothing. The state operates as what analysts call a fuel island. Every drop of imported gasoline must arrive by ocean tanker. The Jones Act makes it prohibitively expensive to ship between U.S. ports unless you use American-flagged vessels. And there are only 55 such petroleum tankers in the entire country. Not just any refinery can make California gasoline. The state requires a unique formulation called CARBOB, California Reformulated Blend Stock for oxygenate blending. Only a small number of refineries worldwide have the equipment to produce this specific blend. Phillips 66 is planning to produce some California-grade gasoline at its Washington refinery. Some refineries in India and South Korea can meet these specifications according to the Energy Information Administration. Sumit Rathia from KPLR told reporters that California's refining capacity is shrinking faster than its fuel demand is declining. This is forcing the state into a long-term import-dependent position. The California Energy Commission projects that as much as 30% of the state's gasoline demand will need to come from imports by 2026, especially in the northern half of the state. Wholesale rack prices are exhibiting rapid daily swings as traders react to tightening supply. In some instances, wholesale margins have jumped to more than 90 cents per gallon. That's more than double typical levels, fueled by reduced output and delays in replenishing supply via imports, according to Mansfield Energy's July 2025 analysis. California gasoline prices averaged $4.68 per gallon when imports hit their peak in May. The national average was $3.12, according to Gas Buddy data. That's a difference of $1.56 per gallon. Patrick DeHaan from Gas Buddy warned that more waterborne imports will raise fuel costs in the most populous state. The opening of unusual trade routes shows the state still has options, but at significantly higher costs. Tankers bringing fuel to California are not American vessels. According to energy analyst Edward Ring, over 95% of California's inbound crude and gasoline supplies are delivered by maritime tankers, the majority of which are not U.S.-flagged vessels. This includes tanker ships owned by Russia's SCF Group and China's COSCO Shipping Energy Transportation. These tankers burn heavy fuel oil, a thick tar-like residue left over after refining other petroleum products. The environmental cost is significant. Tankers emit approximately 50% more carbon dioxide per barrel mile than pipelines or rail, according to analysis from LOI 411. A 40-day voyage burning heavy fuel oil adds substantial costs that ultimately show up at the pump. Phillips 66 is not the only closure happening. Valero's Benicia Refinery near San Francisco shuts down in April 2026. That takes another 145,000 barrels per day offline. Combined, these two refineries represent about 20% of California's total refining capacity, 290,000 barrels per day, gone within a 6-month window. Ryan Cummings from the Stanford Institute for Economic Policy Research warned that things are going to get pretty dicey pretty quickly if there's no increase in import capacity to replace that lost production, especially heading into summer driving season. You're going to see a material increase in prices. California doesn't just need to import more gasoline, it needs somewhere to put it. Benicia Mayor Steve Young revealed in December that state officials approached the city about converting the closing Valero refinery into a storage hub for imports. The proposal would create a storage facility for up to 20 years. But Young called it a terrible situation because there are no jobs, there are no taxes, and there would be continuous emissions from tankers. The ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach are dealing with new regulations requiring tankers to use shore power electricity while at berth. If importers face compliance problems, it will constrain the flow of imports and inflate pass-through costs, according to the California Energy Commission. The state is essentially trying to increase imports while simultaneously making it more expensive and complicated to receive those imports. California's new import dependency creates multiple vulnerability points. 22.3% of California's foreign crude comes from Iraq, 16.9% from Ecuador, 16.4% from Saudi Arabia. Any disruption in these countries directly impacts California's supply. Tankers must navigate potential choke points like the Strait of Malacca or weather events in the Pacific. The February 2025 fire at PBF Energy's Martinez refinery demonstrated this vulnerability when California had to import emergency supplies from South Korea and the Gulf Coast at premium prices. With refineries operating at near full capacity and minimal buffer between supply and demand, any unexpected disruption causes immediate price spikes. The Energy Information Administration noted that unexpected shortfalls could contribute to temporary price increases or heighten volatility. Michael Mishkin from USC's Marshall School of Business calculated that Californians need an extra $600 to $1,000 annually just for gas compared to the national average. With increased import dependency, those costs will likely rise. Every gallon that arrives by tanker instead of being refined locally adds transportation costs, storage costs, insurance, and risk premiums. California burns through 38 million gallons of gasoline daily, according to the California Energy Commission. That's 13.8 billion gallons annually. With the Phillips 66 closure removing 1.3 billion gallons of annual production, the state must find replacement supplies for nearly 10% of its total consumption. As Phillips 66 winds down operations this month, California enters uncharted territory. The state has gone from 40 refineries in 1983 to just 8 today. After Phillips 66 closes, that drops to 7. After Valero closes, it's 6. Each closure makes the remaining refineries more critical and any disruption more impactful. The Energy Information Administration forecasts higher West Coast gasoline prices next year, while prices decrease elsewhere in the country. California's unique situation creates a perfect storm for sustained higher prices. No pipelines connecting to other regions. Special fuel blends that only certain refineries can produce. Declining refinery capacity year after year. And increasing import dependency on foreign sources. Drivers filling up their tanks this week are witnessing the beginning of California's transformation from a fuel-producing state to a fuel-importing state. And that transformation will be measured in dollars at every gas pump across the state. The logistics of replacing this lost production are staggering. California must now coordinate with refineries thousands of miles away in Asia and the Middle East. Those facilities must have spare capacity available. They must be willing to produce California's special fuel blend. They must load tankers that take over a month to arrive. And all of this must happen continuously without disruption. One missed shipment, one delayed tanker, one refinery maintenance issue overseas, and California's prices spike immediately. The state has built a system with no redundancy and no backup plan. Every remaining refinery is critical infrastructure. Every import shipment is essential. Every tanker arrival is counted and tracked. This is not how energy security is supposed to work, but this is the reality California has created for itself. The workers losing their jobs at Phillips 66 aren't just losing employment. They're losing specialized skills that took years to develop. Refinery operations require extensive training and experience. When these workers leave the industry, that knowledge leaves with them. If California ever wanted to rebuild refining capacity, finding qualified workers would be a major challenge. The marine terminal can only absorb a handful of employees. The rest are looking at career changes or relocation to other states where refineries still operate. This isn't just an economic loss, it's a loss of industrial capability. California is voluntarily dismantling its ability to produce its own fuel. The state is choosing to depend on foreign refineries, foreign tankers, and foreign supply chains for one of its most essential commodities. Every other state can receive gasoline by pipeline from multiple sources. California cannot. Every other state has backup supply options. California does not. This is a strategic vulnerability that grows larger with each refinery closure. And the closures aren't stopping. The economic pressures that forced Phillips 66 out are still affecting every other refinery in the state. California's regulations make refining expensive. The special fuel blends add costs. The environmental requirements add costs. The compliance burden adds costs. At some point, other refineries will do the same math that Phillips 66 did and reach the same conclusion. It's not profitable to operate here anymore. When the next refinery announces its closure, and there will be a next one, California will scramble again to find replacement imports. Prices will spike again, and Californians will pay again. This cycle continues until the state either changes its approach or becomes completely dependent on foreign fuel. Right now, we're watching that transformation happen in real time. Subscribe to Elizabeth Davis right now if you want to stay informed on this crisis. Leave a comment below and tell me what you think happens next to California's fuel supply. Share this video with anyone who needs to understand what's coming. because when the trucks stop delivering and the prices keep climbing, it'll be too late to act. The refinery is shutting down this week, and California's fuel independence is shutting down with it.